think of when you hear the phrase successful life? Do you think of a famous millionaire like Bill Gates? Or maybe you think of America's great past presidents like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, or Abraham Lincoln? Or maybe some more recent presidents like Ronald Reagan or Barack Obama? When you hear the phrase successful life, maybe you think of the geniuses of their day. Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Benjamin Franklin. But no matter what famous name pops into your head when you hear the phrase successful life, whether you realize it or not, you probably think of someone you know or once knew personally. You saw them live out their successful lives before your eyes. Who do I think of when I hear the phrase successful life? My grandpa. He was by no means a famous millionaire. In fact, some might say he was poor. But he was rich in friends and family. He never met a person that he did not consider to be a friend. He always found something nice to say about anybody. He wasn't a genius. In fact, his little country school didn't go up past 7th grade. But he spoke knowledgeably on about any subject that came up in conversation. He loved reading books and did until the day he died, especially the Bible. He would memorize whole chapters, many of which he could still quote at age 89 when he died. Grandpa was truly an inspirational person. He knew the definition of hard work. He was a dedicated sailor and soldier. He was drafted into the Navy in World War II when he was barely old enough to be in the military. While he was in, he contracted scarlet fever and was honorably discharged so he could go home and get well. After he recovered, he signed up for the Army and served 2 years. Grandpa was a proud veteran. Almost every morning, he would go outside to his yard and raise the flag. At night, he would take it down and fold it up, bringing it back into the house. As a young man, he took private flying lessons. He got his pilot's license and enjoyed flying a Cessna aircraft. Grandpa wasn't a quitter. He nursed his wife of 30 plus years with cancer until she died. A few years later, he married my grandma. He had 2 hip replacements and a pacemaker put in his upper 80s. Grandpa and Grandma were married happily for 14 years. Grandpa was actually my step-grandpa. We weren't actually blood related, but all my siblings and cousins and I called him Grandpa, for he loved us as his own. A successful life isn't built on the amount of education you have. Whether or not you go to college, or even whether or not you receive your high school diploma. And a successful life does not depend on the amount of money you have. Whether or not a person is rich in family and friends and has a belief in God is the only thing that will matter at the end of this life. A successful life is built on the kindness you show toward others.